In the deep silence of space, a lonely satellite turned its dish toward the endless black. It was old, forgotten by most, but still awake, still listening. For years it had only caught whispers of stars and empty radio noise. But tonight, something different reached its senses. A broken voice. It was faint, full of static, and almost lost. The old machine recorded the strange signal and sent it back toward Earth. The message traveled across light years, across empty void, until it finally reached human ears. Inside a hidden control room on Earth, alarms began to ring. Scientists and officers rushed toward glowing screens. Words appeared in strange patterns, symbols not made by humans. One young officer whispered, "It's an SOS, but it's not from us." The room grew quiet. Everyone stared at the repeating message. The alien voice was cracked and trembling. It spoke in pieces, half words translated by machines. "Help, please, they are coming, run." No one spoke for a long time. Finally, a general stepped forward. His face was hard, his voice colder. "Send it to command. The council must decide." Far above Earth, hidden in orbit, a giant ship rested in silence. Its name was the Iron Will. It was not like normal ships of the fleet. It was a shadow ship, built in secret, whispered about in fear. The Iron Will was humanity's most dangerous warship. Entire fleets had trained to fight, but none matched its power. Some said the ship was cursed. Others said it was the reason aliens feared humanity. Now, for the first time in years, its engines began to wake. Captain Eric Danner stood on the bridge. He was a tall man with sharp eyes, a soldier who had lived through too many wars. Around him, his crew waited in silence, their hands ready at controls. He looked at the screen where the alien message played on repeat. "Help, run, they are coming." The words echoed in the bridge, like a ghostly whisper. The captain spoke, his voice calm but heavy. "They called for help. And command chose us to answer." No one argued. They all knew what that meant. The Iron Will was not sent to save lives. It was sent when danger had to be destroyed. The engines burned to life. Space folded, twisted, and in one blinding flash, the Iron Will left orbit and jumped into the unknown. Hours later, the ship arrived in a dead system far from Earth. A dying star floated at the center, weak and red. Around it, silence ruled. But the silence was not empty. Broken pieces of ships drifted across the system, wreckage from a great battle. Some were still glowing from recent fire. The crew watched in silence. Screens showed the remains of ships they had never seen before, alien ships, with designs not from any known race. Lieutenant Kara whispered, "It looks like a graveyard." The captain said nothing. His eyes moved across the wreckage. "Scan for survivors." The ship sensors lit up, searching. For a long time, there was nothing but the cold remains of metal. Then, suddenly, a weak signal blinked on the screen. "Life sign detected," the AI announced. The Iron Will turned toward the signal. Hidden inside a broken escape pod, a single life still flickered. The crew locked onto it and pulled it aboard. The alien inside was half conscious. Its body was thin, covered with pale skin that shimmered faintly in the light. Its large black eyes opened weakly as humans gathered around. Dr. Silver checked its breathing. "It's barely alive. But it's still fighting." The alien's lips moved, broken sounds escaping. The translator tried to match the words. "They are coming." The captain leaned closer. "Who is coming? Who attacked your people?" The alien's eyes widened in fear. It gripped the captain's arm with surprising strength, as if trying to pour its terror into him. "They will find you, because you heard us." Its voice broke, turning into a scream. "You brought them here." The bridge fell into silence. The crew looked at each other, unease spreading across their faces. Captain Eric stood still, his mind turning. They had come to answer a call for help, but now, it felt like they had stepped into a trap. On the screen, the wreckage floated endlessly, silent and cold. But in the distance, far beyond the dead star, something stirred. The sensors began to pick up faint signals, energy spikes, not natural, not random. Something was moving out there. Something was coming. The alien whispered again, weaker now, its eyes filled with hopeless fear. "They never stop, they never forgive, run." But it was too late. The Iron Will had already been seen. And far beyond the wreckage, in the black void, dark shapes began to rise. The Iron Will floated in the middle of the ruined star system. Wreckage of alien ships drifted like broken bones around a dying red sun. The crew worked in silence, every sound on the bridge sharp and heavy. Captain Eric Danner stood tall, his hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the large screen. The faint message from the alien still echoed in his ears. "They are coming, run." But he did not run. He had never run from any battle. Beside him, Lieutenant Kara whispered, "Captain, the scanners are still detecting unstable energy fields. Many of the alien ships here were destroyed recently. This system died only days ago." Eric's eyes narrowed. Then whoever did this could still be near. In the medical bay, the alien survivor lay on a narrow bed. Its skin was pale, almost glowing under the cold lights. Tubes and monitors hummed as Dr. Silver checked its condition. The alien's breathing was shallow, but its eyes moved, restless, always filled with fear. "You are safe," Silver said gently. "No one will hurt you here." The translator repeated the words in the alien's strange language. The creature turned its head slowly. Its lips trembled, whispering, "Safe? No, nowhere is safe." Back on the bridge, the sensors gave a sharp alarm. "Captain," the ship's AI spoke, its voice calm but urgent. "I detect faint power signatures. Something is hidden near the debris field." Eric gave a short nod. "Show me." The main screen flickered, highlighting a shadow within the wreckage. For a moment it looked like another broken ship. But then, a weak signal pulsed. "Escape pod," Kara said quickly. "Another one. Someone else survived." The captain thought for only a second. "Bring it aboard. But keep weapons ready." Minutes later, the Iron Will's hangar doors opened. A small escape pod, cracked and scorched, was pulled inside. Armed soldiers surrounded it as the hatch was forced open. Inside lay another alien, different from the first. This one was badly burned, its armor shattered, but its eyes still burned with anger instead of fear. When it saw the humans, it tried to lift a broken weapon, but its hand shook and fell. "Careful," Silver warned. "It's injured." The alien coughed, spitting dark blood. The translator caught its words. "Fools, you should not have come." Eric knelt beside the creature, his voice cold but steady. "Who attacked you? Who are we dealing with?" The alien's gaze met his. Its black eyes were full of hatred, not toward humans, but toward something else. "The Voidborn," it hissed. "They are the end of stars. They will find you, as they found us." The crew listened in silence. Even the AI paused before speaking. "Captain, multiple energy spikes are rising beyond the system's edge. Movement detected." Everyone turned to the screen. Far away, just at the edge of sight, faint shadows began to move. Shapes, black and sharp, gliding without light. "They're here," Kara whispered. The captain's voice cut through the fear. "Battle stations." The bridge exploded into action. Alarms rang, lights flashed red, soldiers ran to their posts. The Iron Will's hidden weapons powered up, humming like an angry storm. But even as the crew prepared, the enemy did not attack immediately. The Voidborn ships moved slowly, like predators circling prey. Their dark hulls seemed to drink the light of the stars, their outlines shifting as if alive. The alien survivor in the medbay began to scream, thrashing against the restraints. "They smell us. They smell blood. You cannot hide." The captain pressed a button, speaking to the entire crew. "We came here because someone called for help. We found death, and now death has found us. But we are Iron Will. We do not break." His voice carried strength, even against the rising fear. "Load weapons. Hold formation. Let them come." The shadows grew larger on the screen. One by one, more ships arrived, crawling out of the void like nightmares. The sensors shook with each new contact. 5 ships, 10, 20, Kara's voice cracked. "Captain, they're multiplying. More are arriving every minute." The AI added, "Their formation is closing around us. They are hunting us." The alien in the medical bay whispered the same words, again and again. "No escape, no escape, no escape." Then, without warning, one of the dark ships moved. Faster than any human craft, it lunged from the black. Its weapons lit up, firing streams of burning energy toward the Iron Will. The crew braced as the ship shuddered. Shields flared bright, holding against the impact, but the power of the attack shook the bridge. "Direct hit," the AI reported. "Shields holding. But only for now." The crew looked to the captain. His face was carved from stone, unshaken. He gave a single order. Return fire. The iron will roared to life. Its cannons unfolded like wings of steel. Energy surged, building, then blasted into the void. A beam of pure light cut across the darkness, slamming into the enemy ship. The void-born vessel twisted, breaking apart in silence. For a moment, hope filled the bridge. But then the broken pieces of the enemy ship began to move. The shards pulled together, twisting, repairing themselves. Within seconds, the destroyed ship was whole again. The crew stared in disbelief. Kara's voice trembled. "That's impossible." The alien's scream echoed through the medbay. "You cannot kill them. They rise again and again. They never stop." The screen filled with more dark ships, closing in from every side. The Iron Will was trapped. For the first time, even Captain Eric felt the weight of what they faced. The Voidborn had arrived. And this battle was only beginning. The Iron Will stood alone in the sea of wreckage. Around it, the black shapes of the Voidborn circled like wolves in the night. Their ships were silent, their dark metal shifting as if alive. Every move they made felt like a hunter watching its prey. Captain Eric Danner stood firm on the bridge. His crew's eyes were wide with fear, but his voice remained steady. "They want us afraid. Do not give them that victory." But deep down, even he could feel the cold weight of their presence. The Voidborn ships moved closer, but not too close. They were studying the Iron Will, testing its defenses, waiting for weakness. Lieutenant Kara whispered, "They're playing with us." Eric gave a sharp nod. Predators always do. Suddenly, the sensors lit up. 3 ships broke from the circle, sliding forward like shadows cutting across water. Their hulls split open, revealing weapons that glowed like burning stars. "Brace!" the captain ordered. Streams of energy fired toward the Iron Will. The ship shook under the impact, shields screaming as they held. Sparks rained from consoles, lights flickered, and the sound of tearing metal echoed across the decks. "Shields at 60%, the AI reported. Eric's jaw tightened. "Return fire. Full power." The Iron Will's massive cannons roared to life. Beams of light blasted outward, cutting into the nearest Voidborn ship. The enemy vessel twisted and broke apart into burning shards. For a moment, the crew cheered, until the pieces began to move again. The broken ship pulled itself back together, its wounds closing, its weapons glowing once more. "They heal," Kara whispered. "They can't be destroyed." Another officer shook his head, fear in his voice. "It's like fighting shadows." In the medical bay, the first alien survivor screamed again, eyes wide with terror. "They cannot be killed. They will hunt until all is ash. You cannot win." Dr. Silver tried to calm it, but the alien thrashed against its restraints. Its words carried the weight of truth. "They will never stop, never stop." Back on the bridge, the enemy ships shifted tactics. Now they moved together, striking in waves. The Iron Will spun and fired, each cannon shot tearing through enemy hulls. But each time, the black ships rebuilt themselves. The crew fought bravely, but despair grew with every moment. "Captain," the AI spoke, "they are learning. Their attacks are becoming more precise. They are adapting to our weapons." Eric's eyes narrowed. He had seen enemies adapt before, but never this fast. "Then we must change faster," he said coldly. The Voidborn ships began to release smaller objects, like swarms of dark insects. The fragments drifted toward the Iron Will, latching onto its hull. Alarms screamed. "Boarding units detected," the AI warned. The crew froze. The Voidborn were not only hunters in space, they were coming inside. Across the corridors of the Iron Will, metal claws tore through the hull. Black, twisted figures crawled inside, moving with unnatural speed. Their bodies were sharp and shifting, like living weapons. The soldiers of the Iron Will raised rifles and opened fire. Bullets tore into the creatures, shattering them into black mist. But moments later, the mist gathered, and the hunters rose again, whole and stronger. "Keep firing," the sergeant shouted. "Don't let them through." But the crew knew the truth. They were only slowing the creatures, not stopping them. On the bridge, Kara's voice shook. "They're inside, Captain. Multiple decks breached." Eric's eyes darkened. "Seal those sections. Force them back." "But sir, our people." "Seal it," he barked. The order was cruel, but necessary. The Iron Will was not just a ship, it was a weapon. And Eric knew weapons could not afford weakness. The sealed doors slammed shut, trapping both humans and Voidborn inside the burning corridors. The screams of soldiers echoed through the speakers, then fell silent. The captain stood in silence. His crew stared at him, but none dared to question. More Voidborn ships closed in from the void. Their numbers grew with every passing minute. The alien survivor's voice echoed again through the comms, carried from the medical bay. You cannot run. You cannot hide. They are the hunters of stars. They follow the signal. You answered it, and now they will never let you go. The crew fell silent, the truth sinking in. The Voidborn had not stumbled upon them by chance. The Iron Will had been lured. The SOS was not only a cry for help, it was bait. The captain's eyes hardened. He finally understood. They wanted us here, Eric said softly. They wanted humanity's strongest weapon. And now they have found it. Kara looked at him, fear in her voice. Captain, what do we do? Eric stared at the screen, at the endless shadows gathering in the void. His answer was simple. We fight. And we make them regret ever hunting us. The bridge trembled as more Voidborn ships fired. The Iron Will answered with furious blasts of light, tearing holes through the darkness. But outside, the hunters only grew stronger. And deep inside the ship, the black creatures crawled closer to the heart of humanity's most dangerous warship. The Iron Will burned in the darkness. Its shields were weak, its hull scarred, and yet the ship still stood. Around it, the black shapes of the Voidborn circled closer, endless and hungry. Captain Eric Danner stood at the center of the bridge, his face hard as iron. They think we are prey, he said quietly. They are wrong. Deep in the ship, soldiers battled against the Voidborn intruders. The corridors shook with gunfire and explosions. Human rifles spat fire, shredding the dark creatures into black mist. But the mist always pulled together again, reshaping into sharp bodies. The sergeant of the squad shouted into his comm, "We can't hold them forever. They keep coming back." Fall to secondary defenses, Eric ordered through the comm, activate the ship's answer. The soldiers looked around in confusion. Then the walls themselves began to shift. Hidden panels opened. From inside, heavy turrets unfolded, glowing red with deadly energy. The ship itself was alive with weapons. The Voidborn shrieked as the turrets fired, burning their black bodies into ash that could not reform. The soldiers watched in shock. "About time," the sergeant muttered, as the walls lit up with fire. On the bridge, the crew worked fast. "Captain, all internal defense systems are active. The Voidborn are being pushed back." Eric gave a small nod. "Good. Now it's time for the real fight." The ship's AI spoke, its calm voice cutting through the chaos. "Warning. The enemy numbers are increasing. Current projections suggest a full swarm. Standard weapons will not be enough." Eric's lips curled into a thin smile. "Then we won't use standard weapons." He pressed his hand on the console. "Release the black arsenal." The crew froze. Even Kara, loyal and disciplined, turned to him with shock. "Captain, that's forbidden. If we use those weapons..." Eric cut her off. "If we don't, we're already dead." Deep in the belly of the Iron Will, massive chambers unlocked. Heavy doors slid open, revealing weapons that had never been seen by alien eyes. Guns built to tear planets apart. Missiles designed to burn fleets into nothing. Cannons powered by the rage of stars. The Iron Will was not just humanity's most dangerous warship. It was a graveyard maker. Outside, the Voidborn ships circled closer, sensing weakness. They rushed forward in a dark wave, their weapons glowing like the end of the universe. And then the Iron Will answered. Its cannons fired, not one or two, but all at once. Blinding beams of light tore across the void, cutting through dozens of ships in a single sweep. Missiles screamed into the black, exploding in suns of fire that lit the dead star system brighter than it had shone in centuries. The Voidborn twisted and broke, their dark shapes shattering under the storm. For the first time, the hunters were struck with fear. On the bridge, the crew stared at the destruction, their faces lit by the glow of their weapons. "They're falling back," Kara shouted. But the eye's voice was calm. "Correction. They are retreating to adapt. Their tactics are changing." And indeed, the Voidborn did not flee. They pulled back, their broken pieces crawling together, their black hulls shifting into new shapes. like predators learning a new trick. In the medbay, the alien survivor gasped as it felt the shock of the weapons outside. "You fight like fire," it whispered. "No one has ever made them retreat. No one." Dr. Silver leaned closer. "Then maybe humanity will be the first to defeat them." But the alien shook its head. "You don't understand. They never fight to win quickly. They fight to learn. And now, they will return stronger." Back on the bridge, the sensors screamed with new alarms. "Captain! More ships arriving from the void. Hundreds, no, thousands." The screen filled with dark shapes pouring into the system, endless and unstoppable. The crew's brief hope began to fade. But Eric stood firm. "Then we will show them all of our strength." He raised his hand. "Activate the Aegis barricade." The crew obeyed. The Iron Will's hull shifted again, releasing massive shield generators that spread out like glowing wings. A wall of energy wrapped around the ship, burning bright against the black. The Voidborn crashed against it, their weapons sparking, but the barrier held. Inside the shield, the Iron Will's guns kept firing, tearing the hunters apart faster than they could reform. The bridge shook, the crew fought, and the warship roared like a beast awakened. But then something changed. From the far edge of the void, larger shapes began to emerge. Not small hunters, not simple ships, these were vast, towering, monstrous. Motherships. Each one the size of a city, their hulls glowing with the power of dying stars. The crew fell into silence as the sensors read their size. "Captain," Kara whispered, "what are those?" Eric's eyes narrowed. His face was calm, but inside he felt the same fear his crew did. "They are the real hunters," he said softly. "And they are here for us." The first mothership opened its maw. Energy gathered within it, brighter and brighter, until the entire screen glowed with death. The AI spoke with chilling calm. "Warning. Incoming superweapon detected. Impact in 30 seconds. The bridge trembled with silence. For the first time, the crew realized the truth. Even humanity's most dangerous ship might not be enough. The Iron Will trembled as the first Voidborn mothership charged its weapon. Light gathered in its monstrous maw, a burning star of death. The crew on the bridge could only watch as the glow grew brighter. "Impact in 10 seconds, the AI warned, calm as ever. Lieutenant Kara's voice cracked. "Captain, what do we do? Shields won't hold against that." Captain Eric Danner stood silent for a moment. His crew's eyes were on him, waiting. He felt the weight of every soul aboard, every life under his command. Finally, he spoke. "We don't run. We answer." The Iron Will unleashed everything. Cannons fired, missiles roared, beams of white light tore into the black. The shields blazed as energy crashed against them. The ship shook like it was tearing itself apart, but it still stood. And then the mothership fired. A beam of pure destruction ripped across space, smashing into the Iron Will's shields. The barrier screamed, glowing brighter than the dying sun in the center of the system. For a heartbeat, it held. Then it shattered. The bridge exploded in sparks. Consoles burst, lights died, alarms wailed. The Iron Will was struck hard, its armor torn, whole decks burning. "Damage critical," the AI announced. "Hull breaches on multiple levels. Casualties reported." Smoke filled the bridge. Crew members coughed, fighting to keep their posts. Eric wiped blood from his face, his eyes cold. "We're not finished yet." But everyone knew the truth. Against hundreds of smaller ships and now the motherships, their weapons would not be enough. Dr. Silver's voice came through the comm, heavy with dread. "Captain, the alien survivor is awake again. It says, the only way to stop them is to burn everything." The bridge went silent. "Burn everything?" Kara asked. "What does that mean?" The AI answered. "The ship carries one last weapon. The Omega Core. It was designed only for absolute emergency. Once activated, it will release a chain reaction strong enough to destroy everything in this system." The crew froze. They all knew the truth. The Omega Core was a weapon of total sacrifice. If they used it, the Voidborn would burn, but so would the Iron Will. Eric's eyes met Kara's. She was pale, her lips trembling. "Captain, if we do this, none of us survive." Eric said nothing for a long moment. He turned his gaze to the screen, to the endless wave of Voidborn crawling through the void. He thought of Earth, of the billions of lives that would fall if the hunters reached home. His voice was steady when he finally spoke. "We swore to defend humanity. This is how we keep that oath." The order spread like fire across the ship. Some crew accepted it with grim silence. Others whispered prayers. A few wept quietly at their stations, but no one refused. They were soldiers of the Iron Will. They knew their duty. Deep in the core of the ship, heavy locks opened. A chamber sealed for years came alive. The Omega core pulsed like a heart, glowing with deadly power. The AI spoke. "Activation requires Captain's final command." Eric placed his hand on the console. His voice was low, but unshaken. "Do it." The Iron Will's engines roared, brighter than ever before. Energy surged through the ship, building, climbing toward something unstoppable. Outside, the Voidborn paused. For the first time, the hunters sensed danger. Their ships shifted nervously, their movements less certain. The alien survivor in the medbay whispered with awe, You dare to burn the void itself." The motherships began to react, charging weapons to stop the Iron Will before the Omega core could reach full power. "Captain," Kara said, her voice breaking. "They're going to fire again. If they hit us now, then we hold them off," Eric cut her short. "Every second we survive is another second for the core to charge." The battle turned desperate. The Iron Will fired every weapon left. Guns blazed, missiles screamed, beams tore into the black. The smaller Voidborn ships swarmed, crashing against the ship's hull, trying to tear it apart before the core could ignite. Soldiers fought hand-to-hand in burning corridors, holding the hunters back with rifles, grenades, even their bare fists. The crew on the bridge fought their consoles like warriors at war. Sparks rained down, alarms screamed, but they did not stop. And through it all, the Iron Will kept firing, refusing to fall. Finally, the AI spoke. "Omega core at full charge. Detonation ready." The bridge went quiet. The crew looked to their captain. Eric's face was calm, almost peaceful. He thought of Earth one last time. Of blue skies, oceans, and a people who would never know how close they came to falling. "Transmit final message," he ordered. The AI obeyed. A signal raced across space, carrying his words. "This is the Iron Will. We stood. We fought. Remember us." The Voidborn motherships charged their weapons for a final strike. The hunters rushed closer, desperate to tear the Iron Will apart before it could unleash its fury. Eric raised his hand. "Detonate." The Omega core blazed. A light brighter than stars burst from the Iron Will, flooding the system. The Voidborn shrieked as the wave of fire consumed them. Ships broke apart, hunters turned to ash, motherships ripped open by impossible power. The Red Star itself seemed to tremble as the blast raced across the void, burning everything in its path. The Iron Will vanished in the light. In the silence that followed, only the alien survivor's escape pod drifted free, thrown clear by the blast. Its eyes were wide, reflecting the endless glow of destruction. Humanity's most dangerous ship was gone. But so were the hunters. Silence filled the broken star system. Where once the Voidborn swarmed, now there was only dust and drifting wreckage. The light of the Omega core still echoed across space, leaving scars of fire where shadows once hunted. The Iron Will was gone. Only one survivor floated through the ashes, the alien rescued before the final battle. Its escape pod spun slowly, lights flickering, life support failing. Inside, the alien's black eyes stared at the emptiness, tears mixing with its pale blood. It had seen entire civilizations fall to the Voidborn. Worlds burned, fleets erased, stars consumed. Nothing had ever stopped them. Nothing had ever even slowed them. Until now. Hours later, human ships arrived. They were too late to join the battle but not too late to see its end. Their scanners picked up only wreckage and the lone escape pod. The alien was pulled aboard. Soldiers surrounded it, weapons ready, but it did not resist. It was weak, broken, but alive. Admiral Reyes, commander of the relief fleet, stood over the alien. His voice was hard. "What happened here? Where is the Iron Will?" The alien closed its eyes, trembling. "Gone. They burned themselves, to burn the hunters." The room fell into silence. Even hardened soldiers lowered their weapons, stunned. "They gave everything," the alien whispered. "And they won." News of the Iron Will's sacrifice spread like fire across human space. At first, only whispers. Then, across colonies, stations, and fleets, the story was told and retold. The Voidborn, the unstoppable hunters of the void, had been defeated. Not by numbers. Not by gods. But by one ship. By humans. In alien space, the message spread as well. Races who had once mocked humanity, who had dismissed them as young and reckless, now listened with new fear. The iron will was gone, but its shadow stretched across the stars. "They are dangerous," the survivors whispered to each other. "If you call them, if they come, pray they see you as friend, not foe." The alien who survived was carried to Earth. It stood before the human council, weak but alive, its voice trembling as it told the tale. "They answered our cry for help," it said. "They could have run. They could have left us to die. But instead, they chose to stand." The council listened in silence. Generals, leaders, and citizens alike heard the words, and something heavy settled in their hearts. Pride, fear, and sorrow. Humanity had always been seen as aggressive, unpredictable. But now, the galaxy understood something greater. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their firepower. It was their refusal to surrender. The alien was offered a home among humans. But it refused. Instead, it carried the message across the stars, telling other species what it had seen. It told them of the hunters. It told them of the sacrifice. And it told them of the ship called the Iron Will. In time, the Voidborn returned in other corners of the galaxy. They always returned. They always hunted. But never again did they attack Earth directly. The memory of the Iron Will hung over them, a shadow even hunters feared. And though the ship itself was gone, its name lived on. New ships were built in its honor. Fleets carried its story as a banner. And in every battle cry, one phrase was whispered. "We are Iron Will." Years later, on a quiet colony world, a group of children gathered around an old veteran who had once served aboard the relief fleet. They asked him if the story of the Iron Will was true. The old man smiled sadly. "Yes," he said. "I saw the light myself. I saw the hunters burn. And I heard the captain's final message." The children leaned closer. "What did he say?" The old man's voice dropped low, heavy with memory. He said, "We stood. We fought. Remember us." The children were silent for a long time. Then one whispered, "I will." Across the galaxy, stars burned as they always had. Empires rose and fell. Wars were fought and forgotten. But the name of the Iron Will was never lost. It became a warning to enemies. It became hope for allies. It became legend. And in the quiet void where the ship once fell, where the Omega Core's fire had erased the hunters, the wreckage still drifted. Silent. Cold. A tomb for heroes. But if one listened carefully, if one stood in the shadow of that dead star, it was said you could still hear the echo of a voice. Strong. Unbroken. "We are Iron Will."